Hello, everybody, and really excited today because we get to spend a little bit of time with the wonderful Lena Nielsen, who crossed my path recently, and someone that I really admire. I'm very looking forward, excited to go deeper with on today's chat. And Lena and I, we crossed paths on one of the Facebook groups actually for Dr. John Sarno's TMS and mind body healing. And I think I put a post in there to say, like, is anyone up for chatting to me that's worked with these methods and that's had success? And Lena kindly reached out and we had a call and she agreed to have this chat today. So yeah, just really, really excited to learn more about you and your story and really just hear about, how you managed to work with these methods and a little bit of your background and where you're from, and yeah, handing it over to you. Thanks, Lena.
Thank you so much for having me, David. It's a real pleasure. I've been so excited about it. It's something that takes up a great deal of my life. So yeah, I'm Lena. I'm Danish, but I live in France, in the French Alps, where I teach skiing. I'm married to a Frenchie, happily, and we've got two little kids together. Yeah, so I mean, my journey to landing on that little group where we met on the TMS group started for me a couple of years back, 4 years back, maybe longer back. But specifically, when it all started coming together for me was around a time when I got diagnosed with ankylosing spondylitis. And it was quite a journey. I had it comes with a lot of pain, and the way it was expressing itself in me, the symptoms I was having, I was in 7, 8, 9, sometimes 10 out of 10 pain every day, not all day, but really every day. And I was really struggling, and it was something that came on very quickly. And it started off with pain in my sacroiliac joint, and it just escalated from there. In the beginning, I treated it like I would normally treat other pain symptoms if I had something niggling. And but this time it just didn't go away. It just got worse and worse, and it ended up just taking over my life completely. And in the end, I couldn't go for a walk. I couldn't walk. I couldn't run. I couldn't do my sports. I couldn't ski. I couldn't sit. I couldn't lie down. I couldn't live. I felt like a prisoner in my own body. And I got to a point where I I was just so desperate. And I would never take my own life. But I said to my husband, I said, I don't know how to live for the rest of my life like this. It was so, it was just so dark because I couldn't do stuff for myself. I couldn't be there for my kids. I couldn't be there for my husband, I couldn't live. It just was so debilitating. And I was really struggling to see my way out of it. And I'd obviously entered the medical protocols of the Western world, as you do. And I got taken through all the standard protocols of different tests, etc., and ended up with the rheumatologist. And it ended up in a diagnosis of this ankylosing spondylitis. And as she said, it's incurable, and we can only manage your symptom, like deal what you call it, symptom treat. So they gave me a long prescription that I could take to the pharmacy, and I ended up with a big bag of medications to try out. but to keep it short, in the process of that, I had also started researching, as we all do nowadays. I guess we look online, and I came past a beautiful testimonial by a guy called Ralph Ruiz. Ralph Ruiz, thank you
Big up to
so much.
Ralph.
Thank you, Ralph. And he his story was, he had the same diagnosis. He had it for longer than me. He lived with it from he was a child. Anyways, for me to have that story to lean up against was it just changed everything. It was the opening of my rabbit hole that I am still exploring with joy, and this is also how I ended up here today. So because I try to do the same thing, I try to tell my story and be that testimonial. But yes, so he was the opening for me to hear about John Sarno, Dr. John Sarno, who wrote the book How to Heal Back Pain. And he had a sort of study group where he took a group of 10 people through John Sarno's book, chapter by chapter. And for each chapter, he would go through everything. They would ask questions. He would explain things. And from one moment to the next, to some people, I say 3 weeks, but in all honesty, once I'd clicked with the message, it was a day. And it was like I received the ability to manage my sensations in my body, previously known as pain, by a switch. And I couldn't believe it. But when I felt that the first time, I was like, oh, and it was just this positive spiral that just took me off, and I was unstoppable. And so there's so many things we can yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I was getting goosebumps because, as you know, like I have a similar story, which this is not about me today, but that moment when it just clicked, the same with you, it was like instant. It's when you said it was 3 weeks, but actually it's a day. Or in the future,
Feels insane.
actually it was just in an instant.
Yeah.
There's no time on it. It's just something that happens, right? So
You go from
I
feeling
really,
so powerless to suddenly you've got something.
mm,
And it just is so important, this understanding, and it's out there. All this information is
yeah,
available to us. And I went through it, and I didn't have a doctor who said, Lena, listen up, this would be important work for you to do as well.
yeah,
Maybe we need to shut down the fire for a start with some painkillers or something, but you also need to do this. Nobody said that to me. That's my quest. It is to spread the word that this is there and it's available to all of us, and it's something that we can do, and that we have got that power in us, and it's not there's no hocus pocus. I went it's there. You can go the science route if that's your thing. You can make it the yoga route. You can make it, it's there. It connects all of it, because it's our body, it's our nervous system, it's our mind, it's the ability, it's the capacity of our nervous system and how we understand ourselves, our thoughts, our programming, the way we grew up, our stories, the belief systems that we carry with us in life. So yeah.
how
You've got
long?
to stop me from talking.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. I love it. How long was you suffering for? Um, before you had that like eureka moment?
So for that specific thing and that specific pain, it was about 4 months. However, knowing what I was dealing with, years,
Mm,
because I had other symptoms that I am completely rid of now, that has never even like, I used to have reoccurring uh, pain in various parts of my body. And I would go and see physiotherapists or osteopaths or massage or whatever I would do, or even take medication, although I try not to. But it's something that I see that the pattern goes back a long time
yeah,
to a young teenager, and I'm 45 now. And
sure.
this all kicked off when I was around 41, nearly, yeah,
Wow.
41.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, and like you're lucky in a lot of ways. People, they, I'd say 99.99999% of people that are suffering with chronic pain never find access to this information. So it's kind of like I feel lucky. I suffered for nearly 30 years, like
Mm.
with the pain aspect on and off. So I'm just
Mm.
happy that you found that, and it's kind of like it always feels like a divine timing of when we're supposed to find that, right? When we're supposed to find that information. So when you went online and you was looking, where did you find this testimonial? Was it on YouTube?
Sorry.
Where did you find that testimonial for Ralph?
I searched on the diagnosis.
Yeah.
It was on YouTube, and so I listened to. I'm not saying. So it was like having 10 puzzles, different puzzles in front of me, and all the pieces were mixed together.
Yeah.
And because I didn't have any help from outside,
Yeah.
I was trying to find out, where is it I'm meant to be going with all of this? What is this thing that I'm trying to work out?
Yeah.
So I did go through quite a substantial amount of material, and also lots of other interviews and podcasts and
Good.
science podcasts and studies, and but
So that's good,
um,
Lena. So let's just quickly talk about that because I think it's important, right? You know as well as I do. Some people can read one book and get it, like me. Didn't have to do anything
mm,
else. It was instant, right?
mm,
Doesn't mean to say I'm better than anyone or got more
mm,
brain or whatever, but it's about belief systems, which we can get into in a
mm.
bit. But so how long was you down that rabbit hole? Like, was there what was the first book you read? And then what was the moment when
That
you
was Sarno.
realized?
So
Yeah,
once I saw that interview, it was a videoed interview. I then went through. I would drive to work. I have half an hour's drive each way, so up and down it's an hour in the day. And each episode that he did with this group was an hour. So I did that in
who was
10
doing the
days.
interviews? Dr. John Sarno was doing the interviews, or
No, it was Ralph Ruiz,
yeah,
who now works as he works in this field, and
yeah,
helping people with this stuff as well.
sure, sure, sure.
And so once I was, I mean, during those chapters, maybe there was 10 chapters, my understanding was building, and I was journaling alongside it to really familiarize myself with the concepts and to internalize it. I think that's a really important part as well, that
Sure.
you have to internalize the information that you resonate with,
Yeah.
and because that's part of changing your belief systems and your stories. And in the process of reading this, so I did lots of things in the process. So I started listening to this, and I could feel that it was working already. Suddenly it was just like boom, there, click, it was. And I would be, oh, now it's just like this little bzz, like electric
Mm.
buzz in this point where I used to have pain, and I would repeat these.
Daily
John
reminder.
Sarno has these 10
Yeah,
yeah, the
yeah,
10 commands kind of thing,
yeah.
and I'll
Command.
just go through it.
Thou
And
shalt not
I
have pain.
yeah, but it worked. It
No, I
really
know.
worked.
Well, it
But
does.
I had to kind of, I chose to, you have to be open, and you have to be curious. You have to be willing to give it a go.
Mm.
It's
That
so
is,
I
that's
really
that is spot on what you just
had
said
to
there.
become it. I think I had to, I felt like I have to become it. So
Sure.
when he was, I, for example, some of the things that I did in that period, I used to have physiotherapy 2 or 3 times a week, and I would panic if I'd forgotten it once in a while, or, whew,
Sure.
it was one of my crutches. I had the bag of medications. I did exercises at home, etc. So part of what I did alongside the book, alongside listening to the him going through the chapters, etc., and journaling, etc., was, I mean, the first realization was I have to get rid of all my crutches. I have to accept this new belief that I am I am not broken. My body is not broken, but my brain is sending out this protection system. This on override. It's this.
Were you quite resistant to that at first?
No, no. But it was important for me to understand the neurological science part of it as well. I was very curious about understanding. I was researching as well on what is pain actually,
So
not just
should we talk a little bit about that? Should we talk a little bit about the science, or do you
yeah,
feel
we could do,
comfortable?
because
Yeah.
it was very, very convincing to me. I really needed that aspect, and I mean, some of the things that come to mind is there was a story, and it was the science journal. Oh God, I can't remember what it was called now. Um, this is my disclaimer. I'm not a doctor or a professor or anything, but it worked. No, but it was about a guy in a building site, and it's probably, you might
Yeah,
have come
God on the
across it
nail.
already. Yeah, so he steps on a huge nail, and it goes all the way through the shoe. And anyways, he's obviously in pain, and he gets taken to the A&E. And anyways, long story short, they cut the shoe off his foot, and it turns out that this nail that he has stepped on has not touched his actual foot. It has just touched the shoe, and it has just gone through the shoe. But the brain perceived the danger and created pain, a strong sensation of pain
Yeah,
in him. And it's a protection system, because you don't want any further damage to happen.
sure.
And it was things like that, that stories like that. I mean, there was, yeah, that really helped me understand that I needed to look into how the brain works, and what pain is, and what the nervous system does, and how our beliefs, what I believe, is crucial to what I perceive as my reality.
And it's everything, isn't it? It's like the belief
Absolutely.
underpins the healing here. Because if you don't believe, there's no healing. If you believe,
Yeah.
it comes always down to belief. You know,
Yeah.
um, I really love that story. I'm glad you shared that. I was telling someone
Um,
about that the other day. It's so fascinating.
it is. The Another thing that really was that I carry with me as one of those stories is when I started looking into placebo and the nocebo effect. And these days, well, they used to do studies where they would give a placebo pill against the actual medication. But these days, they have done studies where they give a pill that is just sugar. And they tell people, and they tell them that, however, so it is just sugar, however, it is still shown to have a really positive effect on X, Y, and Z. And the positive effect is still measurable,
Yeah.
So that the fact that whatever belief we have built up around this sugar pill, it has a certain effect depending on what belief we put into it.
Yeah.
But whether there's a nocebo effect or a placebo, a positive or a negative effect, it's not the sugar pill that does it. It's not the pill itself, the sugar itself, that changes something in our body. It is the thoughts that we have connected to it. It's the belief system. And that for me was, I don't know why I'm surprised about it, because I know that I will get butterflies in my stomach, and I can make myself sweat just thinking something.
Lena, on that then, thanks for sharing that. That segues us lovely into our thoughts and our words and how we talk to ourselves and things like that, which is a really important part of the healing, as you know, right? So do you want to talk a little bit about the importance of how we talk to ourselves and how we how we talk to the brain and what we have to like inform the brain like about safety and what's letting ourselves know that we're okay? Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. I think, like I said earlier as well, being open and being curious about your patterns, about how you do things, about how you, that's what I did. How I was like, how am I actually navigating the world? What are my reactions and responses? How do I perceive people around me and the relations that I'm having? And I think if once you start becoming open to seeing what patterns you carry with you and how you're sort of coded from a child, it was that realization that I have all these adaptations from whatever has happened in my life, and I learned to navigate in a way that was suitable for what I grew up in. And certainly some of that has become maladaptive for me now.
Sure.
I'm the hypervigilance, the way that I am very sensitive to other people's emotions, their thoughts about me. Did I say the right thing? Should I have said it in another way? Or perfectionism, people pleasing, appeasing. I've spent a whole life appeasing people. And how you start realizing that all this time that I've spent making myself, I see myself from the outside in instead of living from the inside out. And I lost myself in that process.
Yeah.
Because I was adapting to everyone else and making myself small and then bigger to be liked, be loved, be understood, to be seen, to whatever it was. And I think once you really start looking at this, not like it's out of balance.
Sure.
You're giving and giving and giving and not receiving. or allowing yourself to receive. It's the you're not allowing yourself to be loved. I was it becomes quite fundamental, and it suddenly feels like far away from what I was actually working with, which was my pain. And how is this affecting my pain? And I think that's why I did quite a lot of loops trying to put all that together. How is it that what I am, how I navigate the world, how I go about things, how is it that that creates pain in me, and it was, I mean, starting to learn about the nervous system and the vagus nerve and things like that. That's when it started to come together
Sure.
for me. Yeah.
No, I really appreciate you sharing that. And like there's an internal dialogue and our perceptions of ourselves, like you mentioned about how we create this pain, how it and also like what I love now is how we talk about the pain now as a false alarm. And now there's functional MRIs to show that the part of the brain lights up the same whether you hurt your arm or you feel sad. So it's kind of like, and then I really love the aspect of it's so important for people to understand the importance of talking to your brain, like, and telling your brain that it's okay, like you're safe now. I don't need to feel
Yeah.
the pain anymore, and stuff like that. So yeah, I
Yeah.
think the neuroscience aspect of this is like just having, I think you're right. Everyone that's going to approach this work is going to come to it from a different lens, right?
Mm.
So with me, because I had a background in neuroscience stuff, because I was trained in it in the techniques that I do, when I found the information, it kind of just dropped onto my lap out of nowhere. Uh,
Mm.
and then when I only needed to read a book, I didn't need to understand all about it because I already understood the mind body. I just didn't understand that the pain was because of the nervous system not feeling safe. When I believed consciously that I felt safe, there was
Yeah.
parts of my experience that was identifying with versions of myself that was not safe, which was like the majority of my life. So once I understood that, and this is the beauty of the work, is it doesn't have to be complicated. Like all we have to do is understand what's going on. It's information and it's knowledge. And once you
Mm.
understand the mind body connection and what is actually happening, then for a lot of people it's kind of like instant, it's instant healing. But I think it's important to mention as well that there's also a lot more people that have to go down the rabbit hole, that have to do more digging, that have to, watch more films about it and watch more documentaries and read more books and, read lots of testimonials where it can take, months and months and months. It's not always instant. And some people, and the majority of people, will never get it. As like Dr. John Sarno says, that he would only see 1 out of 10 referral patients because he would have a strict intake form to see what was the mindset of somebody before they came into his practice, right?
Mm.
So, and that's important to mention because, if you are watching this and, um, if you believe without any doubt that what you're being told is real and that's why you've got the pain and it's nothing to do with the mind body, then you're not gonna feel the benefits. You've got to, like you said at the beginning, you've got to be willing to give it a try, you give it a shot, and willing to
Mm.
learn. And if you're not willing to do that, it kind of doesn't work. So all right, so then how long ago was it that you actually was able to that you've been pain free, let's just say?
That's 4 years ago. In January. Come January, it will be 4 years ago.
4 years ago, yeah.
Yeah.
And so at what point did you cancel all of your physiotherapy?
So that was that was maybe in the third chapter of John
Yeah.
Sarno's book, something like that. So
So you
I
didn't read that first. You read that quite at the end of your studies.
so I was listening to this. I have a very busy life with kids,
Yeah,
so it works really well for me to listen to stuff when I'm
sure.
on the run. Anyways,
But what I'm sharing is the Dr. John Sarno book. That was the one of the last things that you read on your journey of healing and
that was the
discovery.
first book. That was the
First book.
first. Yeah, it was the first.
But then you said you needed another 4 months. That's what I'm trying to kind of.
No, so it all started, and then I got it. It all took 4 months.
Yeah,
So I felt like I got onto the right track fairly quickly. I
yeah,
would like, but the thing is, I went to the doctor first,
sure.
who then sent me for tests and scans and experts, etc. And so I was sidetracked, and it was also making it harder because it induced me with a lot of fear.
Sure.
When you sit in front of a health professional like that, who doesn't instill you with any hope,
Yeah.
that there's nothing to do other than eat medication for the rest of your life and then hope for the best. I it was, but I started the research alongside, and it was I think I got onto TMS roundtable and the Ralph Ruiz interview around mid-November.
Yeah.
It all started end of August, got really bad around October, mid-November onto that. And then by early January, I was out of it. I went and did the last chat with the rheumatologist, and she didn't listen to anything I said, but she'd asked me to do a journal of how the medication was worked. And I told her I couldn't do that because that would have reinforced the negative story that I had a problem. She laughed at me, I think. But that was part of what I was doing alongside following the book, going through the book. I said to my husband, you can't ask me, you can't treat me as if I have a problem anymore. Yeah. I need you to help me in the house change the story about what's going on. So if I'm lifting up something, you don't come jumping and carry it for me.
Yeah.
I am doing this, and I need the story to shift. If I saw friends, they would, and they knew they'd ask me, how are you doing, Lena? And I'd be like, I'm doing great. And then I'd really quickly shift the story onto them, or the questions onto them, and avoid having to talk about it, avoid having to repeat the same story over and over again. That is really enforcing the understanding in my brain that there is a problem, and therefore I should be fearful, and therefore my pain is stronger. I went to the pharmacy. I took the whole bag. I felt very proud and a bit scared, even because it was all new to me.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the hell am I doing? But I'm doing it because I can feel it's working. But it felt so strange because, it was still new to me. And I was on my own, I felt, on this journey. And it was something I stumbled across almost, it felt like. And anyways, I went to the pharmacy and I dropped off that whole bag with all the medications, pain medications, and all the medications because I'm taking pain medications and so on. It was just so big and so heavy, and it felt so good to be rid of that. I did the last physiotherapy session. I said to her, and she's quite open to more than just physicalities. And I said to her, listen, I need to get rid of all my crutches, everything that feeds into the idea that I have something to fear. I need to stop that. So I stopped doing physiotherapy. I stopped doing Pilates. I stopped doing exercises. I got rid of the medication. I stopped the story like that. I just, and that was after I had found the switch, but then it reinforced the switch. Sure. And I was like, I was teaching this 10-year-old kid, and he was like, can we go through the jump in the snow park? And I was like, should I feel fear? and I could, when he said that, I could feel this little bzz again. It just
Yeah,
became this, like,
yeah.
become my compass, I didn't like, but, and I was like, I rubbed my arm to get a different sensory input in my body than this, and off we went, and I went through the snow park with him, and I jumped, and I landed it, and there was no pain, and the pain didn't come on, not the hour after, not the day after, etc. And I just, oh, it was, it felt so powerful, and in one way I could believe that it was working, because everything that I'd been told there, it was just working, and it, I've just not looked back ever since. This does not mean that my body doesn't talk.
Sure.
I have sensations, I have got stuff, but I have learned to read it as, when my body talks to me, I don't listen to it in fear anymore. I say, okay, let's look at that. Maybe, I look at what's going on in my life at that time. Am I overwhelmed with something? Am I upset about something? Am I tired, stressed out? Whatever could be going on in my life. And I feel like I use it as a compass, as I have gained the best partner on the team, which is my body. I'm back in connection. And that's the real learning that has come out of this, that there is no separation, that that my thoughts, my feelings, what I'm perceiving also gets expressed through my physicality.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah, it's
Thank you.
beautiful.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And yeah, it's a wonderful story, You've done this huge jump. I can totally, again, I can understand those stories, because it's the same thing with me. Should I do this? And then it's like it comes up and you can feel like a twinge, and it's like, wow,
Mm.
it's all just signs and understanding and reading the signals. And like I said, the body is always just giving us signals, right? And the pain is a false alarm, and it gets stuck on these loops, and they've shown now how it gets stuck, and we can unlearn the pain.
Yeah, I always thought about it as what really worked for me, to think about it as a toaster, the brain. And it's, like, sorry, not a toaster, the fire alarm.
Yeah,
So it's
that's what
like,
I was going to say, the toaster.
it's just gone, sorry, it's just the brain, it's just gone rogue, it's gone a
Yeah,
bit oversensitive, like a fire alarm that's too
yeah,
sensitive to you just toasting a bread.
yeah,
I'm just toasting a piece of bread. There's stuff going on. And when I say stuff is going on, I mean in the thing that you are perceiving the world with, which is your nervous system.
yeah,
So the nervous system is, there's something on there, and your brain is like, whoom, okay. And it's oversensitive, because that's the pattern that it's got stuck in this hypervigilant mode. And it goes, pain. And the thing is, it doesn't even have to be negative things. Whether you're nervous,
yeah,
bad, or excited about something, and you spend the whole day in that mode, like, oh my God, I can't believe it. I'm flying to visit my sister in New York or whatever. The nervous system doesn't really understand the difference. It just knows that you are on. You're really switched on. So it can be that you're going on a holiday, or you're going to a concert, and you're doing something super exciting, and you get intense pain. Boom, your chronic pain just hits you. It's not just when you're experiencing depression or grief or something negative is up in your life, is what I understood anyways.
Yeah.
Again, you know,
I
this
know
is
that the
all,
other,
this is my take on it. Everyone listen to this as my take on it. This is my
yeah.
experience, you know. um
I
and
like
I
to,
try
I
to
like to just share quickly,
process.
like with the fire alarm and that analogy, which I really
Yeah.
like to just put out to the listeners is, if you're listening, if you're laying in bed and you hear a fire alarm and it's really, really loud and you wake up and you're like, oh my God,
Mm.
like that feeling, that intense feeling, that is there to protect you. That's protecting you from the fire.
Yeah.
Okay. So the fire alarm is is the emotions, but the pain is the fire. And the emotions is protecting you from the fire. So it's kind of the pain is, sorry, the other way around. The pain is protecting you from the emotions. The pain, which is the
Mm.
fire alarm, should I say, is protecting you
Yeah.
from the fire,
Mm.
which is the emotions. So when we learn to like sit with our emotions and really like allow them to be there, we can switch that alarm off. And that's when it happens, is when we look at it. And I think the overriding um importance is that we need to feel safe. If the
Yeah.
nervous system doesn't feel safe, then
You
there's
have to be safe where you are, and you
you
have
have
to
to
be
be safe.
safe with the people that you are with as well. I think
Yeah,
the thing about this is that it might come with, for some people, it will come with some decisions that they might not, that they might be reluctant to deal with
sure,
if you're not safe in your home, in your relationship. um there might be really big things, big changes that would
sure.
need to be made, you know. So it's a journey, and you have to do it in your own time.
And you have
It
to be
doesn't,
honest.
you can't work with some of this, because at the end of the day, it's it's like, so Gabor Mate has been over he's been in my life as well. His books, his knowledge, his and I think this idea that he puts across, that it's it's not what happened to you, it's what happened inside of you because of what happened to you. And that's what we're working with.
Yeah,
We are working with that thing that happened inside of you, because that's right there, right now, in the now. That's the thing we can work with. We don't need to go back to every single trauma or experience or any story that you're carrying with you. You don't need to necessarily uh, live through all of it and dig up things. And what about the things I might not remember that I experienced? That's okay, because it's not what happened to you
yeah,
that we need to work with. It's what happened inside of you because of what happened to you.
sure,
And it's that thing inside of you that we can work with, because it's right here and right now, and it's always with us. The
sure.
rest we can't change.
And if you don't need to overcomplicate it, you don't need to, like, just to make it clear for anyone listening. Some people are going to just get it immediately. They don't need to overthink it. They don't need to do anything apart from just understand what is happening. Other people are going to need to really go and explore it
Mm.
and understand that, you know, when you mentioned about just before about, you might have to make uncomfortable decision. One of the biggest decisions people have to make is, can I be honest with myself? Where am
Mm.
I really at right now? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
What am
And
I
what do you
what am I
want?
telling people? What is my truth? How do I feel in my what is my unconscious truth? What do I feel? What I'm saying this to the outside world, that I can turn around and say, no, I feel safe. But do I? Is there an underlying energy there of fear? Because I think Dr. John Sarno talked about rage, right? And I have to
Mm.
share that I actually believe it's fear. Now that's my truth. That's my truth. That's my professional experience and opinion. And also, it's kind of like the modern take on it as well. When you look at people like Alan Gordon and
mm,
Howard Schubiner, it's fear, and I completely agree with that, right? Because fear
mm,
for me underpins anger and fury. So
yeah.
that just shows you that we have to make sure that our nervous system is safe. Um, so I really love everything that you've shared because it is so on point, and to hear your story, and I feel like it's just so important for people to hear that this is attainable. These feelings of ease and grace and to be pain free, it is attainable. So
Mm.
what would you say is what if you had to say, like, to people listening, what is the most important piece of advice that you'd give anyone that's listening now, that really wants to get rid of their pain, but they just can't get their head around, they just can't believe that it can be that simple, and they're skeptical and they've got doubts. They're like, yeah, you're just saying it, but these things don't happen to me. It
Mm.
sounds too easy. What would you say to that?
It's not your fault, first of all, that you know that you have this pain, or that you ended up with a programming like that. I think this idea, like, we can very easily feel like, oh, but it's my brain that makes it happen. We start like, am I just creating the pain and in my own brain? You're telling me it's not real in my body, and it all becomes a bit airy, I think, and it can be hard to find your way into. um I mean, we've touched on a lot of the things, but I think it's what has worked for me is to allow the pain, allow space for the pain, if that in any world would make sense. Noticing the pain, just like, that my telephone is ringing and I'm hearing it ring. I'm hearing the pain, I'm feeling the pain, but I'm not going to answer it. I'm not going to try and stop it from ringing either. It's just there to shift the distance, create more space between, not attaching yourself to the story that you have got surrounding this emotion of pain, because I see pain as an emotion. Um, yeah.
Okay, good. So then I've got another question for you, right? What about, have you come across like family members or friends that have been in pain and you're like, you got to do it, and they just don't get it, or they just don't want to do it, or they don't believe it, or
Going
and
through this, my
ask,
dad he had a back surgery, and I was like, no. I'm like, don't do it.
did you try,
It's a
but did
good
you
thing
try and
that
tell him? But did you try?
I did gently try and tell him, but he's of a different generation who goes to the doctor to get his pill and expects that's what he does. And
It's frustrating,
yeah,
isn't it?
it was very frustrating.
Yeah. Because it happened
And
with me and my mum as well, you know. I really
yeah,
passed this information to my mum, and it was the same thing. And it's really like when it's someone that you care for so much and that are suffering, and you know
yeah,
that this works, it's being
yeah,
able to deliver it in a way that's not aggressive, or it's kind of like matter of fact, but
yeah.
people's minds are so set when they get, like you say, the older generation, they're so set in their ways. It's frustrating.
I do have a sister who's 15 years younger than me. And as I was going through this and coming through on the other side, and all the excitement that it came with, and I was on fire, and I wanted to share it, and I wanted to, I guess, to some extent, I wanted to fix. Look at what this can do, and it was too much. And I did have to rein it in a bit, and a lot actually. But I was just very excited about it. Anyways, I did have a talk with her because she has struggled with things like fibromyalgia, And I we had a very good chat in the kitchen at one point, and she listened, and she said at one point, I have heard you, but I can't take in anymore now. It's just so overwhelming
Yeah.
because I don't know how to use it right now. But I have heard you, and it has planted a seed, and we'll see where it takes us. And she has done the work now. Years It came 2 years down the line from us having that conversation.
She's pain
So
free.
family, it has also had
And is your sister pain free now?
she has yes, she has completely switched her life
She had
around.
fibromyalgia and now she's pain free.
Not the same journey, not the
Yeah.
same expressions, but it's very, say, similar experience.
Oh,
And so it has been beautiful to see that as well. So yes, I do have it in the family.
right.
And yeah.
I mean that again in itself is like just to let's just quickly talk about that then, right? So it's not only, Dr. John Sarno was working on predominantly back pain, right? And now with the modern neuroscience and all these the new revelations and the new science that's coming out, they're showing that this actually works with different things, with stomach issues, IBS, Crohn's, SIBO, how it's all caused from the nervous system. And this is what makes it really interesting, even talking about some autoimmune diseases that can potentially help with. And I personally believe, even
Mm,
with things like type 1 diabetes, that the brain is controlling all of it, and it can change the pancreas and it can produce more, more insulin and things like that. So I personally believe that there's no dis-ease in the body that can't be fixed from the mind. And I think over the next 5 or 10 years, you're going to see a lot more evidence of that.
mm,
Um, yeah, I just think I think it's fascinating, and I'm really happy
mm,
we've got a chance to talk and
mm,
hear the story. And yeah, I think it's just so amazing. And as you know, I've explained to you, and my community knows that we're on a mission here with We the Medicine to get these tools and this information out to the public, because there was a lot that was discussed there by you, and there was a lot of different angles and books. But if I am allowed, I'm just want like to simplify this and say that predominantly the key and the essence of all of this work is just knowledge. It's
mm,
education, educating yourself and learning about the if there is a way, what is actually happening here. And that's what we have to do. We have to educate ourselves. I've
mm,
spoke to now I've got people that I work with that are just not, they're in so much pain, especially
mm,
people with fibromyalgia. They just say, I just don't have the headspace to do it. I can't go there. And it's like a block. And I know you mentioned about your sister, she wasn't ready at that time. And some people who's listening to this, it might not be your time on the path. You may come back to this in the future. And I have to wonder that we're all at different stages of our paths and our healing and our and our development, our evolvement.
mm,
So yeah, and I wanted to ask you about the frustration thing, because I had that as soon as I learned it. I was like, oh my God, my mum, she's had
mm,
really bad back pain. She's got terrible tingling and numbing in her hands and her feet for 12 years. And I
mm,
know that where this has come from. I know that this is a central nervous system thing. And even though she feels safe now, from our conscious mind, there's still a attachment and identity to these versions that weren't safe for so many years. And that's what's causing the pain.
mm.
And we tried, she read the book and obviously needed to have more going down the rabbit hole. But being in her
Yeah,
70s, she was just like, love, it's just, I'm too old for this now. That was her words, I don't want to do it. And I'm like, oh,
yeah.
frustration, because it's my mum and I love her and I want her to heal and feel ease. So yeah, thank you for sharing that.
Part of it for me where I well, I didn't have anything to lose by giving it a go.
Yeah. I don't
That
think
was
anybody
part of
has.
my, you know what? I've not been given any other real options. I
Yeah.
didn't really consider taking medication for the rest of my life a real option. I felt just really trapped by that. And then coming across this, I'm like, I mean, if I give it all I've got and
Yeah.
it works, well, happy days.
Yeah.
And then I think so. I just went all in, and it did work. Um, uh, yeah,
Good.
something we haven't talked about. So like that, I think maybe also it also was important to me, or an important realization was about understanding. It very quickly became about this whole thing about regulating your nervous system and understanding, recognizing where I was at. And I kind of, in the beginning, went mistakenly down the route of trying to calm myself all the time and breathe in light, breathe out, black air or whatever, and it was always about calming myself down. And I came to the understanding that, we that's not how I function. That's not how I live. I was like, I can't. I felt like I was suppressing myself all the time. I have feelings, I have emotions, I need to be alive. I need to
Or
be able to express myself and be curious and engaged and think something is fun and amazing and exciting. And if something sad happens, I don't want to. I don't want to meditate myself into some sort of numbness,
yeah, I hear you.
not feel it. I need to uh, it's the understanding that we need a nervous system that has a full capacity, that we're not trying to calm ourselves down every time we feel something, but
Sure.
that we allow space for the feelings, and that we have and the flexibility that we don't just stay there up or down, but that we have this, we come back to ourselves, to our bodies, that we don't get lost somewhere out in the mind ether. But yes, this that 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 it's not about being calm, because there is this app called Calm, and I'm like, ah, there is this thing out there, and I think it's really important to touch on that. It certainly what I have experienced, and how I look at it, it's not about numbing yourself. It's not about always calming yourself down and suppressing yourself. It's really about being alive and being able to live the full spectrum and not being stuck anywhere. You don't want to be stuck. You want to be flexible,
Fluid, yeah.
and you want to be able to recognize where you are.
Mm. No,
If yeah.
no, that makes sense. And that's a really, really good point. I was just listening to you and taking that in because there's a close link between having it is important to have a regulated nervous system, right? And you can't have a regulated system if you're not calm. That's just the reality of it. Like if you're not calm, your nervous
Tricky,
system, sorry,
you see where it becomes a tricky
exactly. But
concept.
it is, but you're right what you're sharing. It's kind of like, where's the middle way in between like living a life of like non-duality where you're permanently aware, you're permanently like in your breath and allowing the human experience to be a human experience and not suppressing your
Mm,
emotions, right? Sitting with them and feeling them and allowed to be. And I think that's a really, really good point, which not many people talk about. So thank you for sharing that. And for me, I think finding the middle way is always the way in everything in life. That's my philosophy, is to find the middle way. Um, but to be aware, because if you're not aware, you are
mm,
going to be taken become that version or whatever it is.
Mm.
So yeah, how do we find that the middle ground between um understanding that we can't go through life being activated in fight or flight, but also, not trying to always calm ourselves and numb things down. So it's a really good point. Anything else you feel like you'd like to share before we wrap up?
No, I think we've touched on most things, to be honest. It's
Good.
been good.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much. And really,
You
really
as well.
appreciate your time. I know you're busy, you're a mother, you got two children, you're a ski instructor, you got it, you know what I mean? You got a lot going on. So I really appreciate your time to gift us your energy and your words and your wisdom. I feel strongly that, people will be able to listen to this. And even if there's one person that hears your story and believes, you know,
Mm.
that it's possible and that they're able to become pain free, then that is a
Mm.
win-win, right? Because we know what it's like to feel that. And as you said, you was really in a dark place, and I know what that's like. So yeah, thank you so much. And yeah, we hope we see we'll put this out there. Um,
Well, David, I really appreciate this time as
sure.
well.
How
It's
how
part of my journey as well to, every time am allowed to share it, it helps reinforcing it's my new story as well,
yeah,
it's my new perception of my life.
yeah, and it's your reality, right? And this is what it's all
Yeah, and it
about.
has become my reality, exactly. And
Yeah,
it started with a shift of my thoughts. I
yeah.
shifted my understanding, my thoughts, and and yeah, now it's just a completely different lived reality.
Well, I feel like it would be good. Well, we can talk off the camera, but I think it's be good for you to like kind of stay part of this loop of like who's going to see this, who's going to get healing, so that we can let you know, right? Because I know that you'd really love to hear some success stories in the future. So let's plant that seed of intention so that we're going to be able to receive lots of um healing, and people will reach out and say how much this has helped them. So that's my intention for this video. But it's been lovely to talk to you and really, really informative. And thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.